What's up, guys? Universal Mastery. So what I do on my channel is I break down the occult to its most foundational practical principles so that you can use it in your day-to-day life and get real actual results. So what we're going to be talking about in today's video is definitely a very sensitive subject, especially right now. So what we're going to be talking about and what I'm going to go into depth with is the whole George Floyd situation and what's going on with our society right now. And I'm not focusing on the politics of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share a very wide perspective of what's really going on right now. Okay, so definitely if you are interested in what I'm about to tell you and what I'm about to share with you, then stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is definitely go and check out the Patreon. Basically, what's going to be on the Patreon is an exclusive video weekly, and there's tons of already foundational, essential, exclusive videos that are already on there. But you're going to gain access to an exclusive video weekly that will not be on my YouTube channel. All you have to do is become a Tier 2 member or up. In order to become a Tier 2, it's $9.95 a month, which literally comes out to less than $1 a day. And as you go up in tiers, there's more benefits. If you get to the top tier, I perform my own self-empowerment ritual for you, which is very powerful and very beneficial. And that will be an ongoing monthly thing as well. So where you're going to find the Patreon is going to be the first link in the description. So make sure you go and check that out. But other than that, I'm going right into this video. So what we're going to be talking about once again is the whole situation with George Floyd. Okay, so for those of you that don't know George Floyd, then you need to get out of the rock that you've been living under. I'm just joking. Okay, so most people know about what happened with George Floyd. Basically, there was this, it was an African American man that was pretty much choked out and choked to death by a Caucasian police officer who, had some, he obviously had some issues. He had some inner traumas. He had some inner issues that he wasn't working on. And he just kneeled on this guy's neck and literally choked him to death right in front of a crowd. And it's very unfortunate and it's very sad that happened. But here's the reality. Okay, here's the reality. And I'm going to start here and then I'm going to go into a little bit more of a wider perspective in just a moment. But the truth is that this stuff has been happening for a long time. And what I mean by that is that this happened last year, this happened the year before that, this happened the other year before that, this happens all the time. Okay, this happens a lot, more often than we know. Okay, this is not anything out of the ordinary here. And the reason why it's so big right now is because it was caught on camera, and there is a specific time frame that our society is in right now. Obviously, with the pandemic, with all this craziness that's going on in the government, and then the whole George Floyd thing, there's already this, I don't know if you picked up on it, but this sense of chaos. This is already happening. So what I'm getting at is that there's this transition that is happening in our society as a whole. Okay, this is already happening. And then another thing that I want to cover is that this is also happening to other races as well. So like, there's also Caucasian people that this is happening to. There's also Asians. There's also Hispanics. There's also Spanish. There's also Jamaicans. You name it. This is happening to all different kinds of people. This isn't a race war that we're talking about here. That is what the media is trying to promote it as. That is what the masses of society think it is. I'm not going to say necessarily the masses, but a large portion of the masses think this is like now a race war or something in that nature, when in reality it's not. This is actually happening to other races as well, and it wasn't just targeted on, you could say African Americans. Now, my personal perspective of that police officer that was kneeling on his neck, I personally believe that that officer probably was racist. I believe he had some inner issues towards maybe racism that he didn't work on, and he took it out on George Floyd. But once again, what I'm saying from a broader perspective is that this is also happening in different avenues as well. Okay, this is happening to all kinds of people. This is just an energetic thing. But once again, the only difference is that we now have technology, so we can record these things, and then it spreads throughout the internet, and then there can be labels that are added to it to make it perceived as certain things that aren't actually real, and things that aren't actually truly happening, as in like, oh, it's now it's African Americans versus Caucasians, or whatever it is. They try to do the same thing with the coronavirus and say it was the Chinese that brought it in, and it comes down to a specific principle that's been used for many years and will be used probably forever. I mean, it's a part of life. And what that principle is conquer and divide. And you have to realize that, you can play a victim in that role of conquer and divide, or you can take a step back and look at it from a much wider perspective and be an observer. You can be involved in the herd and move as the people that are actually doing the conquering and dividing. You can move under their influence, because there are people that are orchestrating this entire thing. Okay, there are literally people that are viewing it from a very wide perspective and orchestrating this shit. They're doing magic to influence it. They're doing all kinds of shit to influence it. So you don't want to be involved in that. You don't want to be in the herd. You want to be an observer and see what's going on and be aware that, even though all this chaos and craziness is going on, you still have a purpose. You still have a path that you are supposed to be focused on. You are still on the journey. Don't forget that you're still on the journey. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. People, this is giving people a great reason to play the victim. And this is giving people a great outlet to say, it's not fair because of this, and I couldn't achieve what I wanted to because of this. I couldn't walk my path because of this, and all this other stuff is going on. And this is going on for so many different people. I'm not talking about race here. Okay, I'm not racist. Okay, I don't need to clarify that to people. You should know that. Okay, you should understand that. That we are, once again, we're spirit, okay? We are all energetic, okay? Just because we chose a specific vessel that we're going to live in, during this lifetime, you got to be on a very low level to identify with racism. Very low level. And bad things happen to those people that do that. That's another reason why I don't get involved in any of those politics, because I don't need to right now. And I personally, with myself, I think later down the road, I for sure will get involved with politics and actually be a massive influencer in that field. But that's not right now. That's later down the road for me. But, once again, as of right now, you got to be careful, okay? You got to be careful with getting yourself involved with everything, because the universe works the way it works. The people that are doing things that are going against that universal will of evolution itself, they're gonna be destroyed. Like you don't have to do anything. Like, the universe will take care of them. You have to understand that. They will weed themselves out. Okay, every cause has an effect. If your cause is continuously pushing against the will of natural evolution, then the universe will spit back and you will be spit out. Trust me. Trust me. So there's nothing that you can do that is going to change this entire thing. There's nothing that you can say, there's nothing that you can think that will change this entire thing. What will change this thing on a true level, if you really want to affect this, affect everything in the evolution of everything that's happening right now, is work on yourself. Be self-responsible. Be responsible for yourself. Focus inward. That is what's going to change everything. That's what people aren't talking about. Focusing on yourself in times like these and with what's going on right now, that is what's going to cause and produce an actual change. Okay, and yes, I do see what's going on. You know, there's protesters, there's all this stuff. This is chaos, and there's going to be massive change that comes from it. Okay, everything that's happening right now is supposed to happen. Okay, it's not that I can go out there and say, you guys shouldn't be doing this, and then you guys should be doing it. It's supposed to happen the way it's gonna happen the way it's supposed to happen. And once again, for the people that are working against what's supposed to happen, they'll weed themselves out. I promise you. So you don't have to worry about that. But for me, I don't need to go on the streets. I don't need to hold up signs. I don't need to do any of that shit. I've been there. Like years ago, I've been in that mindset. And that was a phase. I went through that. I traveled through the plains, okay? Because that is a certain level, okay? There's people that are afraid in their house, freaking out, and they don't know what to think. That's another level. Then there's people that are actually out there. That's another level. But then there's people that have been there and go up again, and then go up and up and up and up and rise through the plains. They rise their vibration. They're more aware. They're wiser. They understand more. And that's where I'm at right now. I don't need to be out in the field like expressing my mind. I work on myself enough. Okay, I work on myself. I'm comfortable with what I know. I have a pretty solid foundational understanding of how energy works and how transitions happen in societies, because I study this stuff, and knowledge is power, and it makes me powerful. So I don't need to express that to someone. I don't need to go up to a crowd of people that have no influence over my life whatsoever and be like, I'm powerful and you're not, and you guys shouldn't do this because we are the people. We do, like, it's not fair. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't. And I'm not gonna do that because I'm not gonna waste my time. And I'm definitely not gonna waste my energy because there's much more important things that I have going on and that I need to be focused on. And I hope that you can resonate with this. That's the reason why I'm sharing this perspective. So once again, taking it back to give a little more clarity on this situation, and this has been going on forever. This is all a part of a cycle. Okay, so this happens. Okay, like it happens. Okay, this happens in cycles. In cultures, in different cultures, this manifested itself in a different way. Okay, this has happened throughout time and time and time again. This is nothing new. But it is manifesting itself in this culture in a different way than it may have in cultures 100,000 years ago. Because I'm sure there wasn't levels of racism like we have now back 100,000 years ago. But there was other issues that they had back then that manifested themselves. So, you know, this is a part of a cycle. Like, if you study astrology, you would be able to predict that something like this was going to happen during this time. Okay, you got what I'm saying? So once again, you got to let it play the way it's going to play out. And I'm going to make an analogy here, and I want you to try and understand this. Okay, and really try and understand what I'm saying. So just like a female will have a period, you know, and it happens at a certain time monthly, okay? The female comes to know her body well enough that she starts to understand when her period is going to start, and she starts to understand the feeling of what it's like when it's coming, and she usually will be able to intuitively know when it's going to end. Just like the period will come, and I know this is kind of a strange example that I'm giving you, but I want you to try and really dissect what I'm saying. Just like it's going to happen, she is going to have that time of the month. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen in cycles. And for those of you that don't realize that a lot of those cycles are all of those cycles are directly connected to astrology as well, and your own astrological makeup, meaning your own natal birth chart, like where the planets were when you chose to come down here on Earth, or when you were here on Earth for the first day that you were breathing. Okay, you could say the first day you actually were alive and existing in the collective consciousness. Depending on that astrological makeup, that forms a lot of your character when it comes to a lot of the biological attributations that you have. So what I'm getting at is that, okay, so the cycle is going to happen. The period is going to come. There's no stopping it until you get to a certain age. But, you know, up until then, there's no stopping it. So it's the same thing with a society on a much more macrocosmic scale. This happens every so often. And when I say that, I mean, it happens every hundreds of some years, but it happens. And on a microcosmic scale, if you look microcosmically, we've seen how this has happened throughout the media in smaller portions leading up to this massive portion of what we're experiencing with its huge protests. We've had protests the year before this and the year before that, according to very similar things where it was a conquer and divide, you know, this race versus that race or whatever it is. And we've seen it on smaller levels. There were fewer protesters, but now where we're at, if you study astrology, there's specific planets that are affecting the mass collective right now. And those planets are very powerful and potent, transformative, deep planets. Hence, what's manifesting right now with the coronavirus, with, you know, what's going on with these thousands of protesters, with people that are destroying businesses of people that, I mean, we have people that are also African American. If you want to play the race war game, there's African American men and women that have spent their entire life building a home-owned business, their own business from the ground up, and there are protesters that claim to be out here fighting in the streets, fighting for this cause, destroying and vandalizing those people's businesses that they spent all their time and energy to create. And I'm not here to say like we need to put an end to it or anything. This is gonna happen, but I'm just sharing with you, this is why this shit is not a race war. Because if it was a race war, we wouldn't be vandalizing people's businesses that are of, you know, the same cause that we're all trying to band together, you know, to help. You know, there's people's businesses that are being destroyed right now. And, you know, and you guys are talking about race war here. Like it's this, or even, okay, let's take a step out of the race war. It's the cops versus the people. That's the same shit. It's not the cops versus the people. There are cops that do terrible things. They do terrible things. And there are cops that save lives. There are cops that help you in very important ways. Okay, like and it's not, you know, this is where balance comes into play. And why balance is key is because there's always going to be two ends of a polarity. We have cops, that is the polarity, and then we have one end, which is the good, the cops that are actually out here saving lives, which they do, and then we have the cops that are out here not working on themselves, ignorant to how life truly works, and doing things like what happened to George Floyd. Now these are two complete, we have that what just happened that we all seen that caused this entire situation to manifest. That's the lowest version that you can get. One of the lowest versions that you can find on that polarity of what cops are. And then you have cops over here that are saving people's lives, putting their lives at risk and in danger to save you. Okay, it's two different ends of the polarity. Then we have a middle scale of cops that just, you know, they like to make sure society's good. They're not, maybe they don't go that far out of their way to save you. They definitely don't go that low to hurt anybody, but they just kind of are like, hey, I'm a cop and I'm contributing as, you know, as best as I can and want to society. There's different levels to it, but it's a balanced thing. Just like we have protesters that are trying to be peaceful, and then we have the other end that are burning shit down. Okay, it's not about a right and a wrong necessarily. It's about energy and what is. It's about what is happening and what is always going to happen. There will always be a balance to whatever it is that you are doing or whatever it is that you are witnessing, observing. There will always be a balance, because we're not talking about, once again, we're not talking about the labels of races. We're not talking about people versus cops. We're not talking about any of that shit. we are looking at energy, and we are watching energy manifest through a mass collective consciousness right now to transform it, and we're seeing how it's playing itself out through people in the masses. That's what the masses pretty much are good for. You get to observe and see how the energy works through them, and it does cause the change to happen. And there will be people that will always be that way, and they'll be unaware of what's actually influencing them to take the actions they're taking. But then, as I said, as you rise through the planes, you become aware of what's going on. You know when energies influence you, and quite frankly, different energies will influence you. You actually, it's almost like you create yourself into this vessel that no longer knows how to run off of that low vibration, where you feel like you have to get engaged with this and you have to pick a side. It's like it's impossible for that energy to influence you, because you've already worked on yourself so much, and you've activated and opened up so many different pathways, one in your neurology, in your, you know, in your chakras, your energetic aura is, you know, is strengthened and all that stuff. It's just you can't be affected by it. That's how I feel. Like I'm looking at all this craziness, and I'm sitting back and I'm almost laughing, because it's like people are so passionate and serious and blood, sweat, and tears, and it's just interesting to me, because they don't see that this is supposed to happen. Like, all of this is bringing in a massive transformation, a massive shift to our entire collective that is going to be crazy once this ends. Like, once this ends, you are going to see what comes out of this. Okay, a massive shift, and that's where the whole AI technologies are going to start to skyrocket. We are going to start coming up with new inventions, coming up with new ideas for our society. All these, like, everything is rearranging itself, and it's going to be a great thing. We are moving into a very powerful age. But it's just interesting, and once again, it's just so interesting to see how passionate people are, and like what they swear they believe in and who they swear they are. And I've been there. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to fight for justice and fight for freedom. But, you know, the true freedom and true justice is within self, right? It's the justice of developing self. If I will fight for my own self-development. Okay, I don't need to fight for this shit. I don't need to fight for, you know, the mass collective to be accepted, or for that. I don't need to. I fight for this, what's in here. If there's certain things that I feel like I want to say, you know, whenever I want to say it, and I feel like I need to say it, I'm gonna fight for what I believe in, even if someone doesn't agree with me. And my goal isn't to make like a statement to everyone around me to say, hey, look, I do this. My goal is to say for myself, I'm doing this for myself. I don't give a fuck what society thinks about me. And naturally, I don't care, because what I'm saying is for sure going to resonate with people, because it's an energetic property that, once again, we're talking about. Like, what I'm speaking on is evolution, evolving the self, developing the self, bettering the self, empowering the self. This is what's going to cause everything to move into a better direction, into a more effective direction. And I will always have supporters because of that. And you can do the same. It's the same thing. Now, if I choose to pick a left or a right, then I'm entering a battlefield. I am entering war, and now I have my weapons out. And remember, I have warrior in me. I've been to war. I know what it's like to fight for what I believe in, and really fight for that shit. Like telling people, fuck off, I don't agree with you, right? I've been in those battles, and I've seen what it's done to me. It's a part of the process. It formed me. It made me realize how powerful I am, how much of a warrior I am. But then, as you become wiser, as you continue to do that, you start to gain an awareness that maybe there's something else I should be directing my energy into. And now, you know, that this is what I'm sharing with you is what I now direct that energy into. Talking about these things from a wider perspective, from a self-empowerment perspective, without getting directly sucked in and involved with things that we don't have control over. It's already going to happen. Okay? It's just about knowing that it's going to happen, and then you can go a little bit deeper and figure out how it's going to happen. Okay, so once again, this has gone on for many years now. There's nothing new about this, but this is definitely an intense transition, for sure, to say the least. This is absolutely intense. We went from quarantine to protesting. Okay, so, but just for those of you that are watching this, remember, there's going to be amazing things that come out of this. So what you need to focus on is keep doing the good work. Keep doing the work. Keep focused on your goals. Keep focused on yourself. Don't get involved in all this bullshit. Keep studying. Keep reading audiobooks. Keep reading regular books. Keep focusing on YouTube channels that are talking about self-empowerment, that are spreading the same message of a wider perspective rather than being left or right or up or down. Remember, we are balanced. We sometimes will shift on both. Sometimes we'll go up and we'll go low. Okay, we're balanced here. Okay, and once this ends, you are going to reap reward. Okay, you're going to reap the benefits from the work that you've been doing down the road once this ends. Probably within like 5 months, this stuff is going to be all gone. It's still going to be talked about, but it's like the protesting gone. Different society manifesting. Boom, like completely different rules. All crazy stuff is going to start happening, and it's going to start transforming. Most likely within the next 5 months, and all this chaos is going to completely die down. And you know, you want to reap the rewards in that time. Okay, you don't want to be like 5 months down the road, everything dies down, and now you're like, you have nothing. You know what I mean? Now you're just like, fuck, I fought for this, and what did I get from it? What did I gain from this? Like, did I wasn't focusing on my path. I wasn't building a business for myself. I wasn't figuring out ways that I can influence people. I wasn't figuring out myself. I wasn't really looking inwards. I was kind of just joining a crowd, and I was being moved. Okay? And I was being moved. Okay? So really take this as food for thought. That's pretty much all I want to share on this topic. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there, guys. Definitely, once again, make sure you go and check out my Patreon. The Patreon is going to be the first link in the description. Go to the second link in my description. That's going to take you to the Streamlabs merch. You can place an order for a powerful Hecate sigil shirt. They will ship it right to your door. Then go down to the third link. That's the Facebook community. You'll go there. You'll see a pinned post. Click that pinned post. It'll take you to the private group. You can request a join, and I will add you in. And other than that, guys, through all this craziness, through all this chaos, there's going to be very important, powerful things once again that are going to rise from this. And I want you to rise with me and rise with all the other people that are staying focused. And trust me, I know people that are taking full advantage of this time. Okay, full advantage, meaning they are doing what I'm sharing with you, focusing on their work, staying focused on their own hustle, on their own grind, on their own self-development, still doing their meditations, still doing their practices. And they're not getting sucked in by all this bullshit. They're not going to let that kink in the hose begin, okay? They're not going to cut themselves off from what they already have going for themselves, which a lot of people are getting sucked in and losing a lot of self-development progress because of this. Stay focused. I will see you guys on the next video. Have a wonderful rest of the day or night wherever you are, and peace.